We're going to be doing Unit 1, Day 7. So if you want to keep it in line. Unit 1. All right, this is Unit 1, Day 7. I'm actually going to scoot that over because I said I was. I got to write on that blank. So Unit 1, Day 7, we're going to start talking about inequalities. Does anybody know what an inequality is? Well, inequality means not equals, right? So if we're solving something that does not have an equal sign in it, what other signs could it have? Very good. Inequalities are less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. And yes, you need to know what symbols those are, okay? We're not in elementary school. It's not little mouth and big mouth. Big mouth equals the big number because we're in algebra and we have variables, right? We don't always know what value the variables have. So you need to know this one's greater than, this one's less than, okay? The way I kind of remember it is less than points left, okay? Less than points left. So if it says something about graph and inequality, that means to do it on a number line. So a number line is how we show where the solutions are to that inequality. So something cool about an inequality is when we have an equation, we get, say, x equals 5, then our solution is 5 and it's only 5, right? It's not 5.1. It's not negative 5. It's exactly 5, right? Okay? So an inequality is not just one solution. It's infinitely many solutions. All right? It's a range of solutions. So that's what an inequality is. All right, so that little handout that I gave you is just like what's on the screen. And I know you've probably never used interval notation before, so this is just a little helpful hint that will help us get through that. So we graph them on number lines, and we can also use interval notation to talk about an inequality. So it's just another way to express it. Now we're going to use parentheses when we have less than or greater than. So less than or greater than. You might want to write that around there. Less than or greater than. Same thing with an open circle on our number line. Okay? And if we have or equal to, so if that number is included with the solution, we'll say it's or equal to, and we will use brackets and a closed circle. So this will make sense after we work some problems, I promise. And we're always going to use parentheses when we're dealing with an infinity or a negative infinity. Okay? Now, this might not make a thing of sense right now, but
Justice Whitley, please come to the office, Justice Whitley.
But when we get started and solve a problem, we'll get used to it and it will be easy. Okay? Now, let's just solve some. Y'all can keep that out for now because we'll refer back to it. I've got me a copy right here too. All right. So this is an example of an inequality. It looks just like an equation except for what? There's not an equal sign. Instead, what sign does this one have? A greater than sign. Okay? Sorry, it's a greater than. Y'all know my handwriting's not perfect. Boom, boom. Is that better? Okay. So that's a greater than sign. So this is called an inequality. All right? Equations have equals. Inequalities have an inequality symbol. So we're not going to say the answer equals 2. Okay? Because it's not equal. It's going to be greater than, or it could be less than if we pick this. So one little rule, where it says to use inverse operations, so you solve it just like an equation. There's only one major rule to an inequality. If you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, you have to flip your symbol. So if I'm working this problem and I have to divide by a negative, I'll have to swap that to less than with my solution. Okay?
So you mean like after you get done?
I mean like when no, you solve it, you do it in that step. So any step where you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, you have to flip your inequality symbol.
You mean like the day before?
Just let me work it. Okay? Don't jump ahead. I'll show you when we need it. Okay, so that's the only rule. You're going to use inverse operations, and if you happen to multiply or divide both sides by a negative to get your variable by itself, then you flip your symbol. Okay? And we'll get to that when we get to that. Don't think we have to use it here. So on this problem A, what do you think we're going to have to do first to solve for x? Distributive property. Good. So what's 4 times x? And 4 times 3? So 4x plus 12 is greater than negative 24. All right, now we want x by itself, so subtract 12 on both sides. Now this is 4x is greater than what number? Negative. Any questions so far? All right, now what do we have to do? Divide both sides by 4. Are we dividing by a negative? No, it doesn't matter if this number is negative, and it doesn't matter if the answer is negative. All right? It's the number you do to both sides. If you divide by a negative, then you flip it. So we're not flipping this one. My answer is x is greater than negative 9. We did solve for x. Okay, that means the solutions to this inequality is any number that's greater than negative 9. So negative 8 is greater than negative 9. So if I plug that in, that will be true. This side will be greater than this side.
So that's how you check it?
Plug in any number. So 0 is greater than 9, and 0 is easy to work with, right? That's going to be 0 plus 12. 12 is greater than negative 24, right? That's true. All right? So our answer is not just one number, it's many, many, many numbers. Okay? Now, we also have to show our answer in a number line and in interval notation. Okay? So let's start with the number line because to me, interval notation is easy when you do a number line. So y'all, I'm not just crazy picky about number lines if you're doing it, especially on notebook paper. Put your number that your solution is in the middle, and then at least do one number to the left and one number to the right. And remember that negatives go backwards on number lines, right? Right? Negatives go backwards. Now this is where our little sheet will come in handy. This says just greater than, not greater than or equal to, right? So does negative 9 get an open circle or a closed circle? Open, because that number is not included. Is negative 9 greater than negative 9? No, it does not say or equal to. Okay, so negative 9 is not part of a solution. It is just a boundary for the solution. Y'all see that? It's a boundary not included. Now, which directions are the numbers greater than negative 9? To the left or to the right? To the right. And the clue about this, y'all, whichever direction the symbol is pointing is what direction your arrow needs to be pointing. Okay, so bold the arrow going to the right. Yeah. It's possible. All right, any questions on the number line? So if it doesn't say or equal to, you put an open circle at that number and you shade the numbers, you darken the numbers going greater than negative 9. Okay, that's a number line. All right? All right. So the last thing we have to do is interval notation. Okay? So they have to do with the boundaries as well. Now for interval notation, for a greater than, do we use parentheses or a bracket? Parentheses. So if it's not included, you use parentheses, negative 9, and then you're going to put a comma. So this is your left boundary, okay? And on the right side is your right boundary. So our right boundary, we're going off to infinity, aren't we? Right? So our right bit, we're going on forever. We don't have an end point going that way. So you're going to write an infinity symbol. Y'all know what that looks like? A sideways 8. And they're kind of take practice to make. Yep. Yeah. Sometimes you turn your paper and make an 8. That'll work. All right. And it says on your notes, you always use what symbol for infinity? Parentheses. So this is your number line. This one is interval notation. Okay, so if it says write your solution in interval notation, that's what it means. So there's 3 ways to write the solutions. Okay? And I think you're going to have to do all 3 ways on all of them. Okay? It gets easier as you go. Okay? It gets easier as you go. All right. Then do a number line, then interval notation. Yes. Okay. But to me, this is easy after you see this. What's your left boundary goes here, your right boundary goes here. If this is an open circle, this is parentheses. If this is a closed circle, this is bracket. If it goes forever in that direction, you put infinity. If it goes forever in this direction, you're going to do negative infinity. Okay? Because it'll go. Yep. Yeah.
No, if it was the other way, it would be
Yes. Yes. Because it will stop on this end. Yep. All right. No, just takes practice. And once y'all see it all, y'all be like, oh, that is so easy, Mrs. Ford. Yep.
So what if the other number is not a negative before you still put a negative?
No, it just depends on the direction.
Like if it's going
Just let us see. Just don't worry about all the what ifs. Let's just see examples. Y'all seen one example. All the what ifs will make us all crazy. All right. What if the ceiling falls down when we're doing math and we have to do our homework? Yes, you do. Okay. All right. So to start with, you just solve for x, right? This one says x minus 3, parentheses, x plus 2, close parentheses, is greater than 4. Inequality because it doesn't have an equal sign. This one has what kind of sign? A greater than. What are we going to have to do first on this one to solve for x? Distributive property. So I'm going to copy that x, and then I distribute. What's negative 3 times x? And what's negative 3 times 2? Negative 6 is greater than 4. Then what? Like terms? Try again. 1x minus 3x is negative 2x. Is greater than 4. And then what? Good. Add 6 to both sides. So negative 2x is greater than 10. Then what? Divide both sides by negative 2. And since I'm dividing both sides by negative, what do I have to do? Flip my symbol. So it's going to change to x is less than negative 5. Y'all with me? Always flip your symbol if you divide both sides by negative or multiply both sides by negative. All right, so now we just got to do a number line and then interval notation. All right, so negative 5 in the middle. Put 2 more numbers on it. Make sure you go least to greatest. Negatives go backwards. All right, y'all tell me, you think negative 5 is going to get an open circle or a closed circle? Open. It's not included because it did not say or equal to, so it's just a boundary. All right, now which way do we shade our arrow? To the left or to the right? Because I want to show the numbers that are going to be less than negative 5. So I go to the left. There, left. Just make sure I can tell the difference, okay? All right, any questions on the number line? All right, so now interval notation. What's the left boundary? Yeah, it's going forever that way, isn't it? It don't stop. So that's going to be negative infinity. And what kind of symbol do I always use for negative infinity? Parentheses, negative infinity, comma. What's my right boundary? Negative 5. Is that included or not included? Not included, so I use parentheses. Yes, if this is colored in, it's a bracket. If this is open, it's parentheses.
So there could be one parentheses.
Yes. Yes. I think we'll see one. Yes, this one has an or equal to. So we're just seeing examples of all kinds of things. Yeah, that's how we get good. I just expose you to everything. All right, 7x minus 2 parentheses, x minus 4. What's this symbol? Less than or equal to negative 2. All right, what do we want to do first to solve for x? Distribute. So copy 7x. What's negative 2 times x? What's negative 2 times negative 4? Positive 8. Less than or equal to negative 2. Now what? Like terms. What is 7x minus 2x? 5x plus 8 less than or equal to negative 2. Then what? Yep. So 5x is less than. Then what? Do we flip or not flip? No, because even though it's going to be a negative solution, we didn't divide both sides by negative. So x is less than or equal to negative 2. All right, so number line, negative 2 in the middle, negative 1. Oh, I went backwards, didn't I? Negative 3 and negative 1. All right, does negative 2 need an open circle or a closed circle? Closed, because it says or equal to, so it is part of the solution. So everything that's bolded on the number line is part of the solution, right? And which way do I go for less than? Left. So all the numbers to the left of negative 2 and including negative 2 are the solutions. Does that make sense to everybody? So question, is negative 10 a solution to this inequality? What about positive 10? What about 100? What about negative 2,500? Yes. Okay. Got it? Okay. So now we need to do our interval notation. So what's my left boundary on the number line? Negative infinity. It's going forever that way. So negative infinity, comma, what's my right boundary? Where does it stop at? Negative 2. Is it included or not included? So bracket or parentheses? Bracket. Does that make sense? So this little thing will help you. That's why I went ahead and made y'all a copy of it. Yes, sir. No. If you have an infinity, you will. Possibly. Not always. Y'all, I've got more. This is the first day of inequalities. I have other inequality things to show you, and we're going to see all kinds of things. So I'm not going to say this will always, whatever. You told us on Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So, well, it's coming. We got 3 days of inequalities, I promise. I'm going to tell you everything I know. All right, this one has a star beside it. What do you think I mean by that star? You try. Y'all give it a shot. Do everything. Solve it through a number line and do your interval notation. All right, check it with somebody when you finish. Check everything, the solution, the number line, and interval notation.
Oh, wow.
I'll see how much we have left. All right, so y'all watch me. Make sure you did everything mathematically correctly on your paper. So first I'm distributing, right? Negative 8 times x is negative 8x, and negative 8 times negative 1 is positive 8. Check and see if you put plus 8 right there, because if you didn't, you need to get out your eraser. So if you can't solve equations correctly, you're not going to be able to do inequalities. All right? That's not me being mean. That's just the truth. Some of you still need help solving equations. So now what do I do? I got like terms, don't I? What's negative 8x minus 1x? Negative 9x plus 8 is less than or equal to negative 28. Then what? Ooh, we got a decimal. No, we don't. Sorry. I added it wrong in my head. So negative 28 minus 8 is, yeah, I was thinking that was going to be negative 20. Oops, not. Okay, now what do I do? Okay, I'm dividing inequality by negative. So x is greater than or equal to positive 4. Raise your hand if you got x is greater than or equal to positive 4. Y'all, if it's less than or equal to on your paper, even though you got 4 and even though you got x right there, if you miss the sign, you miss the problem. Got it? Your sign is just as important, if not more important, than the number. All right? Got it? Y'all with me? Does everybody understand? Divide by negative, flip your sign. All right, so number line. Oop, that is so crooked. I can't draw straight lines for anything, and then they put me teaching geometry. Aren't they crazy? All right, I use rulers. It's okay. 3, 4, and 5. 4 gets what kind of circle? Closed circle, and I'm shading which direction? To the right, because I'm showing numbers that are greater than 4. Right? Is 4 a solution? Yes, it says or equal to, right? 4 equals 4. Is 10 a solution? What about 3? No. Good. What about 3.999? No. Okay, good. So interval notation, what's my left boundary? 4, does it get a bracket or a parentheses? Bracket, because it's included. What's my right boundary? I'm going forever, so that is infinity, and infinity always gets parentheses. All right? And y'all, we're going to be doing this interval notation with all of our inequalities for the rest of the week. So by the end of the week, we're going to be good at this. Right? Raise your hand if you got all of it right. Man. All right, good job. Well, if you missed your symbol, are you going to get your number line right? And are you going to get your interval notation right? So be careful with the symbols. We got about 3 more examples. And this one's just different because it has a variable on both sides. All right, I'm just going to tell you. On equations, it really doesn't matter. I like to get my variables together in a way that I end up with a positive number with it, right? But inequalities, you always want your variable on the left. Always move your variable to the left. Because if you don't, you're going to have to move it at the end anyway. When you have a choice. Sometimes you don't have a choice. But your answer for an inequality is always in terms of the variable. So your variable always, even if it's all the way to the very end, you've got to get your variable to the left. All right? It has to be variable, symbol, number. All right? So if I'm moving my variables to the left, what do I need to do? Add 2x on both sides. Very good. What is 6x plus 2x? So 8x plus 1 is less than 9. Then what? Subtract 1. 8x is less than 8. How do I solve for x? Do I flip? No, x is less than 1. So any questions about how we solve that? All right, so number line. 1's in the middle, so it's going to be 0, 1, and 2. Does 1 get an open circle or a closed circle? Open. And which way do I shade to show numbers less than 1? Left. So any questions about my number line? All right, interval notation. What's my left boundary? Negative infinity. So do I use parentheses or a bracket? Always use parentheses with infinity or negative infinity. Hey, that was a pretty good one. Look how pretty that one is. Good job, Miss Elizabeth. All right, and what's my right boundary? Bracket or parentheses? Parentheses. Everybody okay with that? Getting simpler? Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. You know math, we have to build on each other. Yeah. I can't just leave it at, level 1 things all day long. And then number 1, we couldn't call this class honors. And number 2, I'm not doing my job because I'm not completely covering the standards. And if I don't prepare you guys for what you need to know, then I feel terrible about myself. And I can't do that. I'm a perfectionist. Yes.
So we'll have to.
Not necessarily. All right. So what are we going to do first to solve for x? I got to distribute a couple times, right? So I'm going to copy that 5x on the left, and then I'm going to distribute negative 3 to the first parentheses. So what's negative 3 times x? And negative 3 times 6? 18 is greater than or equal to, copy the 8. That greater than or equal to looks great. And then what am I distributing over here to this parentheses? A negative 1. If you multiply everything by negative 1, that's the same as changing all their signs, right? So a negative x and then a plus 7. So any questions about my distributing? Now what do I need to do? Yeah, I got like terms over here and over here, right? So what's 5x minus 3x? Minus 18 is greater than or equal to 8 plus 7 is 15 minus x. Or you could do the other order, negative x plus 15. All right, now we're getting our x's together. And which way do we want to get them together? Go to the left. So that means I'm going to add that x to both sides. What is 2x plus x? Minus 18. Then what? Add 18 to both sides. 3x is greater than or equal to 33. Then what? No flipping. X is greater than or equal to 11. So any questions about how we solved it? So then I just have to do number line and interval notation. So 10, 11, 12. Does 11 get an open circle? Closed circle. Good, because it says or equal to, so that means it's included. And which way do I shade? To the right. All right, interval notation, and I'll be done. What's my left boundary? 11. Bracket or parentheses? Bracket. It's included. Comma. What's my right boundary? Infinity, and then a parentheses. That bracket looks, I don't know. I don't like my brackets ever. All right. Good job. I think this next one's a you try. Oh, it sure is. That's a greater than symbol right there. Test your skills. But it's the last example. Cry me a river. You can do it on the back of this thing if you want. Solve it, underline, and interval. Y'all can go ahead and check with each other. Discuss it if y'all have problems. Gross. All right, y'all help me out. So what do I distribute on the first parentheses? -1. I don't want black, I want blue or something. -1. What's -1 times 3x? What's -1 times 3? And then copy -2x. And then copy the greater than. And then I distribute -4. So what's -4 times x? -4 times -2. 8. You're ahead of me. I see what you're doing. All right. So I wrote down what she said. Goofy. Okay. So on the left, I've got like terms, right? The x's are like terms. What's -3x minus 2x?
-5x.
Good. And then copy -3. It's greater than. And on the right, the constants are like terms, right? What is +8 minus 2? 4x plus 6. Now what do we need to do? Yeah, move the variables to the left, I said. So add 4x to each side. What's -5x plus 4x? -1x minus 3 greater than 6. Then what? Add 3. So -1x is greater than 9. And then what? Which means I have to. Yeah, that's just what you do, right? You divide by negative, you flip your sign. All right. X is less than -1. Raise your hand if you got that for your solution. I hope you didn't get that for your solution. I have had like not enough coffee. Okay. Y'all with me? And it's hump day. Y'all with me?
I was 1 point away.
Okay, so now number line. Maybe I can do that correctly. Remember, negatives go backwards. Sometimes I have to think about that. I don't know about y'all. All right. Does -9 get an open circle or a closed circle? Open, because it does not so or equal to. And since I fixed my sign, which way am I pointing? Left. All right. Okay. Left boundary. Negative infinity, comma, right boundary. Parentheses are, yeah, -9. I'm going to miss that every time. Parentheses or bracket? Parentheses. Raise your hand if you got that right. I can't raise my hand. I missed it. I know. That's right. Yes.
I don't get the parentheses in the bracket.
All right. If it says less than or greater than, you're going to use parentheses on the number. Okay? If it says or equal to, you're going to use a bracket on the number. Okay? And that's what's on that little handout. All right? If it's infinity or negative infinity, you're always going to use parentheses on that one. Does that make sense? Okay? So, and also, like this helps me too. The open circle, parentheses. Closed circle, bracket. Okay? All right. That is the end of notes for today.